Let's just get right to the point. I think that I would characterize the last 16, 17 months at the State Department as two things: a history of tremendous successes combined with ongoing and difficult challenges. And we will always have ongoing and difficult challenges in the world. Let me walk through them one by one. India and Pakistan were on the verge of an all-out war. The State Department and I personally were involved in de-escalating that conflict and bringing it to an end, a war between two nuclear powers. Thailand and Cambodia were involved in a war. Cambodia, a country we haven't normally had close relations with in a very long time. The U.S., the president personally played a pivotal role, not once, but twice, restoring ceasefires and ending that conflict. Obviously, the war in Gaza was brought to an end. Not only that, but all the hostages that remained were released, both the bodies and those who were alive. Armenia and Azerbaijan, that conflict ended. Not only did it end, but it ended with an agreement that I signed the MOU on yesterday, creating a new prosperity route, the TRIP route, which will provide extraordinary opportunities for both countries, especially for Armenia, while respecting their sovereignty, to really benefit from that. The Shield of the Americas was stood up. That means over 14 countries in the hemisphere, 14 countries in the hemisphere have signed up to partner with us on counterterrorism, counter-narcotics, and security matters. And we believe that that number will grow over the next few months as elections change leaderships in various countries. We held a rare earths ministerial that was attended by over 30 some odd countries from around the world, all who were signing up for an American-led effort to ensure that critical supplies of rare earth minerals around the world are available for our emerging economies, and we don't remain overly dependent on China. We also announced the Pax Silica proposal, which is growing, but it's at 14 members now. These are 14 countries that are cooperating with one another to protect the supply chains critical to AI and AI development in the future. In Venezuela, we now have a functioning and open embassy. We have people traveling there for the first time. It's not where it needs to be, but it is a long ways from where it was 5 months ago, and poses not nearly the threat it once posed to America's national security. We're not satisfied with where it is, but we've come a long way. We're certainly better off than we were 5 months ago. On Nigeria, where many were very concerned about violence against Christians. We are now actively in counterterrorism cooperation with the Nigerian government and Nigerian security forces, including a joint operation a couple weeks ago that took out the #2 leader of global ISIS operating from inside of the country, and that continues. The Pacific Islands, small Pacific Islands under constant pressure and threat from China, have received more attention from this administration than they've received in the last 10 years combined, and deliverables are coming along the way. The Quad, an important alliance in the Indo-Pacific between India, Japan, Australia. We've had multiple meetings of that group, including a meeting just last week in India, and a follow-up that's going to occur later this year, including a leaders meeting before the end of the year. As I speak to you now for the second consecutive day, and for the first time in many, many years, the leaders of the legitimate government of Lebanon and leaders from the government of Israel are seated at the State Department for the second day in a row, and hopefully today we'll produce a joint statement and an action plan on a track for security in that country, independent from Hezbollah, independent from nefarious influence. They had similar meetings last week at the Pentagon at the military level. We have signed 32 health compacts. 32 countries have signed health compacts with the United States, where our aid to those countries will not just be dollars distributed to an NGO who then will go into the country and impose programs. Instead, we are partnering with 32 countries, many of them in the African continent, in which we will empower their native and domestic health industries and national health systems, so that they can not only are we treating the acute situations on the ground of people that are sick, we are helping them build the capacity and the capability to do this for themselves. This is what these countries want. They do not want to be perpetual aid recipients. They want to be able to take care of their people one day, and we are helping them as part of our aid to build that infrastructure. I could go on, but let me just say another point. We are better today than we have ever been at disaster relief. Today, the United States can respond to disasters around the world on a humanitarian basis faster and more effectively than they ever have because of our reorganization. And the proof is our response in Jamaica, our response to 2 typhoons in the Pacific, our ability to quickly deploy within 24 hours and bring aid directly, coordinating with the governments to people, is better than it has ever been, because we cut out bureaucracy, we cut out the middleman, and we went right to the point. We still have challenges. On Sudan, it remains a very frustrating situation. We remain deeply engaged with the Quad in these negotiations. As many of you are aware, unfortunately, Sudan has turned into a proxy war between multiple countries, and the divisions between the UAE and Saudi Arabia have truly complicated our ability to bring that to an end. What we're focused on there now is identifying 4 cities, 2 on each side, that will serve as points of distribution for humanitarian aid. But the real frustrating thing about Sudan is that one side or the other will agree to something, but then they will not comply. But we remain focused on that, and we have people that work on that full time. We even had a donor conference just about a month and a half ago where hundreds of millions of dollars in pledges for not just humanitarian aid, but reconstruction. We're focused on that. It's an ongoing challenge. On DRC and Rwanda, they signed a peace agreement. Unfortunately, compliance has not been good. We've had to impose a few sanctions on the Rwandan side. We are starting to see some compliance. It's moving, not moving fast enough, but we're hoping to see compliance at some point in the middle part of next month in withdrawing the Rwandan troops from there. Of course, we still have the M23 problem that has to be addressed. Just on the Ukraine front, I'll address it now, if it's okay with your time that I could do so. I think it's well documented that we've been very involved in trying to get the 2 sides to the table. We've invested a lot of time in it. Unfortunately, so to this point, neither side has been willing to make concessions, particularly on the Russian side, necessary in order to bring peace about. We remain ready to play any role we can in that context of bringing a peace about, because we think the war in Ukraine, devastating war, has no military solution. It can only be solved through a diplomatic route, and it's been unfruitful. I would characterize it as the ongoing challenges. That said, let's be clear. We are not, to be fair and to be frank, we are not impartial mediators in that war. Okay? We don't provide weapons to Russia. We only provide weapons to Ukraine. We don't impose sanctions on Ukraine. We only impose sanctions on Russia. So we have clearly taken a side. We continue to sell weapons to Ukraine, by the way, through the Pearl program, unimpeded by what's happened in the Middle East or anywhere else. And look, we'd love to see that come to a negotiated settlement. As of right now, the prospects don't look great that either side is prepared to make the concessions necessary in order to reach an agreement. But we stand ready, and we've engaged and invested a tremendous amount of high-level time on that conflict over the last year. I think it's a source of frustration for the world. Hopefully this year will bring better news. I don't have any news for you on that front today, but we are ready. As I've expressed to both sides repeatedly, we're ready to step in and play whatever positive role we can to bring that devastating and escalating war to an end.
Then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.